Welcome to JoeyCTV. Gotta forgive me, guys. I mean, you read the title, right? Weak. Yeah, I'm weak. Honestly, I don't know even where to start. My brain is still foggy. My words are stuck in my jaw, like if there's barbed wire holding my jaw from speaking. I come to you today. I almost died twice. I better lean back a little bit. And you guys know I'm afraid of animals, right? There's a raccoon that keeps walking up. Anyway, I come to you today with a message that I feel is inspired through God. And I want to talk about the events that took me to almost my grave. I'm also nasty as can be. I haven't really got a decent shower in a couple of days, but I suppose that's alright. You can't smell me, right? Leading up to this. And again, forgive me in advance, there's so many things going through my head. First thing is, does God want me to do this? I think so, but I don't know for sure. Really can't stand that long. So anyway, I'm going to tell you my story because I feel it's important, and then I'm telling you where I'm going from here. And first and foremost, Father, please give me the words. Jesus, please give me the words that you want me to say. So I guess I should start, and again, I'm not even sure what day it is right now, but I think today is Sunday. Yes, it is Sunday. So I started with, I was at the gym, working out with my friend Dustin, and man, after every set, I just had to sit down. I'm like, man, I'm not feeling that great, but maybe I'm coming down with a bug, Next day on my way to work, I'm driving and I'm not recognizing where I am. And I'm thinking to myself, this is really bizarre. Why don't I know where I'm going? Like, I didn't even recognize the road that I travel every day on. And I'm just driving. So I go to work, I worked that day, I felt really under the weather, and I remember speaking to one of my colleagues a few days before, and she was telling me how she just got over having COVID, and she was really sick, so I'm thinking, man, I probably have COVID. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. People feel brain fog and, under the weather and fatigued. But I didn't have COVID. So I called in the next day to work and rested all day and felt a little bit better, but still weak and fatigued. And I remember thinking, like, normally, like, if I'd walk across the room, it was like, why am I out of breath at the end of the other end of the room? And anyway, so the next day I went to work, and I'm driving to work, and again I'm like, I don't recognize, I kind of knew where I was going, but I kind of didn't know where I was going. And I kept thinking to myself, how come I don't know my way to work? And next thing I know, man, I'm just throwing up while I'm driving. So, went to work anyway. Wound up again leaving work sick, and went home that night and was really confused and extremely drained. And my heart was fluttering around a little bit, and you know, it was rough because you feel like your heart's gonna give out. I'm like, am I having a heart attack? Nah, I'm just really got some kind of bug. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I do have COVID. I don't know. So I said, well, what I'll do is I'll go to bed and I'll get up in the morning and go to the doctor. And now this is where everything gets really discombobulated in my brain. And anyway, I go to bed and I wake up sometime around 5 a.m. to get ready for work, and man, my eyesight is so blurry. I'm like, gosh, I don't even know why my eyes won't adjust. And I'm thinking, this is really weird, right? And I feel my breathing is labored, you know. But I'm scared to death at this point, thinking, well, if I go to the hospital, they're going to tell me something's really seriously wrong with me, and I'm scared to find out, and you know. So anyway, my brother-in-law happened to see me, and he's like, man, you don't look right. And I couldn't really move that much, and he's like, man, let me take you to the hospital, and let me back up, because see, I'm all discombobulated. I already forgot some of the story. When I woke up, my eyesight was blurry, and I had abdomen pain in my lower right side that felt like there was a knife stuck in me. And I'm thinking, oh boy, here's my appendix. So anyway, my brother-in-law is like, you know, hey, we got to get you to the hospital, you know. And he insisted, thank God, because I was dying. By the time I got to the hospital, I was throwing up so bad, and they immediately took me right past triage, immediately into the emergency room. I'm like, and they're doing vitals on me and stuff, and they're like, you know, I had these like, my skin was cracking, especially on my legs. I was getting sores. Got a couple on my arm, like things that when I was working out, and like if I got a little scrape, it immediately didn't heal right away, as you can see. Anyway, took me to the hospital. I get there, and I'm semi-conscious, but semi-not. Like, I'm confused, and they're immediately pumping blood out of me. They got the EKG on me. They got all these things going on, and I'm telling them, hey, you know, I'm diabetic, and turns out I had what they call KAD, ketoacidosis. I had it so bad, and they kept trying to get my sugar down, and they're like, he's also having appendicitis, so if we don't get his sugar down, we can't operate on him. And I'm thinking, operate on me? And next thing I know, you know, they got me on this hospital bed, and there's all these doctors around me, and they seem so concerned. And they right away threw me in the ICU unit, and they kept giving me insulin and potassium and magnesium. Anyway, they got me my sugar down enough to perform the surgery. And next thing you know, I'm in the ER, and I'm scared to death. I never had surgery, especially like an abdominal surgery. And I'm scared, man, I'm scared. And the surgeon comes in and he tells me, he goes, listen, because of your ketoacidosis, this is a very risky procedure, and I just want to let you know that it's possible that when we do this procedure that we may need to cut out some of your intestines. I'm like, what? As if I'm not scared enough. Nevertheless, next thing I know, I'm waking up from surgery. I'm back in the ICU unit, got all these things attached to me. And the doctor comes in and says, you know, you're really, really fortunate that you survived this. And we have to get you stable. And they kept telling me my potassium was just not right and my magnesium wasn't right. But oddly enough, my heart was in arrhythmia. And the doctor kept, they kept saying to me, well, we don't know if we have to do anything for your heart right now. We've got a cardiologist, all this stuff, right? So, anyway, later that evening, and they're pumping me with morphine, and, I'm freezing cold, guys. When I say there was nothing that could warm me. They kept putting warm blankets on me, and I couldn't get warm. Couldn't get warm. Anyway, time frame and days are so blurry to me, and my vision is still so blurry. I could see the light of the camera pretty good, but details are not there right now. So anyway, I wound up finally getting discharged from the hospital. They got my potassium right. They said my incisions were healing. They did a laparoscopy. They didn't have to cut out any of my intestines, thank God. And they checked my heart out pretty good and said, man, you were so lucky because your heart was like freaking out, And they said if you weren't because you came, and again, I'm a little confused, but they were basically saying because I stayed in shape, like going to the gym and stuff like that, that my heart was able to withstand all that for some odd reason. But they also told me I probably had hours left of my life if I didn't go to the hospital, and how fortunate I was. So I started conversing with God in my head. Instead of praying, maybe I prayed, but I said, God, I just want to talk to you as a friend, and talk to God about so many things. One is how lonely I've been in my life, been through so many divorces and bad choices and things like that, and I felt like God was kind of like embracing me, and I was praying to God, the Father and Jesus, and I kept feeling like God was letting me talk and telling me that, and again, I got morphine in me. I mean, I'm not saying and declaring that God conversed with me. I'm just telling you my experience. Could have been from the morphine. I don't know. So anyway, they finally got me to go home, man. I was so thankful, and the incision spots, apparently they go in from the left side to go to the right side. Why? I don't know. So there's a lot of things inside that had to get moved around. Boy, does that hurt. Still. Not as bad, but it hurts. So anyway, when they got me to come home, I was so thankful, and I kept conversing with God, just talking to God. I would find myself watching TV, and then I'd stop and pause whatever I was watching, and then I'd converse with God, and then I'd fall asleep and wake up. And, by the next day, I felt as good as can be. It was weird to see, like, they had me on insulin, potassium, like I'm injecting myself at this point. And anyway, I'm doing these things, and I get to the point where I'm okay to, like, my sister made me like a meal, like it was my first meal in probably the better part of a week, I think, just besides nibbling on things. And they really educated me on the diabetes. They said, well, your appendix went bad not because a piece of food or something got stuck in it, because I didn't know this, when your body's in that ketoacidosis or so much sugar feeds bacteria. So my body was basically filled with bacteria. And but they had me on antibiotics, and they got my blood sugar normal. It's so weird to prick my finger and do the AccuCheck and see that my blood sugar is like 100. I'm like, wow, I haven't seen this in years. And it was my own fault that I got there, because one, I was scared to death of the doctor. I can't lie. I guess sometimes not knowing is the biggest fear. You don't want to know. You don't want to know that you're that sick. You don't want to confirm it. At least I didn't. I always grew up in a household where my dad was afraid of doctors, and and I guess that was instilled in me, and I learned a healthy fear of going to the doctor. I'm looking for, my keys are in my pocket, man. My mind is so not right. So anyway, I had dinner that night. I almost ate all my dinner. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I was watching a little bit of YouTube, and my eyesight was blurry though, like I had to wear my readers to really see what's going on with YouTube, and I think I might have been watching Netflix, and I really wasn't paying too much attention, but the voices and the talking was comforting, So I ended up falling asleep that night, and I can't return to work right now because I'm so sick, and they pulled me out of work, obviously. So no reason to get up early, but I did wind up getting up at 6 a.m. I think, or somewhere around there. And man, I'm looking at the TV that I left on, and the TV's going whoosh, 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 and I'm like, and I fell. I started standing up out of the bed, and I fell into the bed. And I'm like, this is crazy. So I knew I had to get out of the bed because I had to pee, right? So I started to walk to the bathroom, but I turned the bathroom light on, and it was like the light from the lights in the bathroom blinded me. Like I couldn't really see where I was going, and I wound up sitting on the toilet to pee. And as I'm sitting there, I'm thinking Mr. Raccoon better not come over here, because he'll see me run, even though I can barely walk. But so I got to that point where I knew something was majorly wrong, and then as I'm looking at myself in the mirror, this eye, if I close this eye could only see like a little bit of a shadow of me in the mirror. And then all of a sudden, it was almost like watching one of those old movies, that black and white movies, where you turn the little crank and everything's moving like this. And I'm saying to myself, good God, man. And then I got really dizzy, and I fell flat on the bed, man. flat on the bed. And I went back to sleep. Or I passed out, I'm not entirely sure. But by some miracle, my phone was pretty close, you know. And I somehow managed to get the phone, but I couldn't see it clear enough. But I kind of remembered that my sister had called me earlier, so I somehow got to my missed calls, and I got her on the phone. I'm like, hey, you gotta come get me. There's something wrong with me. So my sister, you know, was on her way to work, and she came back and got me. And man, my eyesight was so bad, and I kept thinking, man, I'm going blind. And anyway, in case anybody's wondering, this is the most bland, no sugar thing I'm drinking, just so you guys know. And anyway, and by the time I got to the hospital, this time it was way more serious. And not that you think it couldn't be, right? So I get there, and right away they're like, and they're checking me out, and I know they're checking me out, and I could see the doctor looking in my eyes and with a light, and I kept like trying to fall asleep, and he was like, and the next thing I know, they're like, get him to the surgical cardiac surgery ICU right away. And they did. And my blood pressure was 228 over like 118. But the scary part is they couldn't get it down. Now I'm going to change a little bit of what happened after that, and then I'll get back to that. So while I'm laying there, I know they're doing all these things to me. They got IVs going, this, that. There's a couple nurses, a couple doctors around me, and I know they gave me, I think they were thinking that I had to have like emergency heart surgery, maybe, I don't know. But I'm laying there, and then I'm not. In my brain, maybe it was God, maybe I was hallucinating, maybe it's a built-in self-defense mechanism when you're that sick to take you out of the situation, maybe. So anyway, I started seeing all these amazing colors I really never seen before. As a matter of fact, really mostly one I could remember. It was almost like a super bright pink with orange and maybe burgundy mixed in, and it was almost like I was looking at a glass window with this light coming through, this beautiful color. And it was mesmerizing, and I kept looking at it, and I kept conversing with God in my head. I said, God, I don't want to die, you know? And I remember hours had passed, and I didn't even know hours had passed, because like I got there at the hospital at 7 in the morning. Next thing you know, it's like 3 in the afternoon. And I remember the doctors, like, they still couldn't get my blood pressure down, so they were giving me pills, they were giving me shots, they were giving me IV drips of stuff. And finally they got my blood pressure, I'd like to say, and I could be wrong, 143 over 100. And but during that time frame, again, I could have been hallucinating, but I started seeing faces come through that mirror, like that window, through that beautiful light. But it wasn't nice faces, you know? It was kind of like creepy. And then in my brain, this is what my brain said, Oh, those are the demons that have been following you in my brain. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying what I thought. But I knew the light was protecting me, and they couldn't come through the light. This pink, burgundy, orangey light, and it kept getting brighter and brighter until they just went away. And then I'm still conversing with God, and I'm not praying to God per se. I'm just talking to God in my brain. And then I kind of started seeing different parts of my life. When I was a kid to an adult, and they were good things, like when I helped people, the birth of my children, things like that that were joyful. And it was so fast, but I got to feel that, and I think that I was reminding myself, or God was reminding me of the good things in my life. And then, boy, did that change. It turned to, started remembering things I'd done wrong to people. But it wasn't like I was feeling how I made other people feel. And and all the times I lied and cheated and stole, and all those things came through too. And I don't really remember too much more other than lots of beautiful lights. And basically the message I got from that was, and I again, I'm foggy, and I could have been the morphine, but kept telling me in my head that, that we as humans complicate things when it's so simple. We're light, and we're supposed to help others with the light. And there's so many distractions in the world, and so many lies, and how I was a big liar. And not only was I a big liar, but big sinner. But then I remembered some things, and I remember this afterwards. I remember, again, I'm kind of jumping around, but I remember this today when I was a kid, and I remember God giving me strength and conviction to stand up to somebody who was hurting a bird. When I was a little kid, this other kid was shooting it with a boomerang, not a boomerang, a slingshot. And I remember picking up the bird, and the bird was bleeding out of its head and dying. And I remember this kid was so intimidating to me back then. Sorry guys, my camera must have hit 30 minutes. Anyway, I'm remembering seeing this kid with a slingshot in front of my house killing this bird, and I thought to myself, I said, well, you got to go out there. And I remember the sun hitting my face, and I remember knowing that God was giving me courage to face this older kid who was a bully. And I did. I stood him down and picked up that bird. The bird died. I buried it in a shoebox in my backyard. But for some reason, I think that was a reminder from God telling me who I really was. And nevertheless, there's probably more to the story, but I can't really remember. But I do know this much. And I'm not giving anybody any holy rollers type stuff. Simply telling you my story. And I feel, and I hope that God wants me to do this. I think He does, but I don't know definitively. And I'm so used to being this self-absorbed, kind of a vain person, and but a good person was buried underneath it. That same kid that stood up to that bully was still there, but I covered it with so many layers of lies, deceit, cheating, So anyway, nevertheless, again, so I made it through that, and they told me I didn't have to have heart surgery, and they told me once again, man, if you weren't a healthy person, besides obviously the diabetes and high blood pressure, if everything else would, like if your lungs or heart were weak, man, you would not have made it. So anyway, I'm home now. I'm out of work right now for a while and resting. And look at life totally different. Totally different. And I'm not sure I'm going to trust in God, but I'm not sure necessarily if I'll do ghost hunting videos. I don't think I will. I may do explorers if God wants me to, but I'm always going to do videos now that are a little different. And anyway, I guess that's really what I wanted to say. I made some cognitive choices in my life to be the man that I could be, that I should have been. I decided the next video that I'm going to make is showing you guys when I used to stage videos, how I stage videos. Give you a more discerning eye, and the tricks that I did. And the reason why I want to do that is I never want to put in somebody's soul anything that's against God, anything that's, you know, wrong. And it's been a rough road. Been a rough road. But I'm here to talk about it today, and I'm so thankful that I'm here to talk about it. I know that I got 2 second chances, back to back. I never ever want to fall into that situation again, where, you know, and if I don't even know if I'm in the middle of the front, I can't even tell. That's how blurry my eyesight is. But anyway, I'm extremely close to home here. I'm gonna do the first video, how I staged and how to stage an alone challenge, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna talk about all the things in the past that I needed to, that God maybe wants me to. I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm still just a selfish person. I hope I'm not. Nevertheless, I want to talk about also in my upcoming videos what I think paranormal can do to you, and what it really is, maybe. And again, these are all my opinions. I'm no expert. But I've been lost for so long. I've been sick for so long too. It's a miracle. Like, I beat this. It's unbelievable, really. I now walk around real slow. You know, another side effect of diabetes is, I didn't realize this, but it starts like deteriorating your muscles, you know. So many wonderful things. But anyway, I want to say, guys, that I hope that God wanted me to do this video. I hope it finds everybody well. I'm so grateful to be here. Definitely changing my life. Oh, there was some things coming to me now. I've always been a really good fighter. And in that, I'm forgetful. In the dream sequence, or the hallucination, or the inspiration of God, I remember God telling me why He made me the way I am. To be a fighter, but to fight the good fight. Kind of like that bird. And that we're all connected, all of us. And that this world lies to you so much. We really do things because we want attention. We do things because we want to feel, we want to kill that pain inside. The pain of, I'm not good looking enough, I'm overweight, I don't have enough money, so I'm going to buy an expensive car so people think I have money. That type of stuff. Anyway, I hope I got my information out. I want to say thank you to everybody for listening to this video, and I hope it finds you peace and well. And the videos that I'll be making, kind of debunking myself, if you will, from my past. And I'll leave you with one thing, and I'm going to talk about it. Almost every video, or all videos that are about the paranormal, are pretty much fake. All the videos about the paranormal are real. Contradiction, right? But I'll tell you why in my upcoming video. Anyway, with that, go in love, go in peace. Thank you, Father, for saving me. Thank you, Jesus, for my life. And when you open your eyes to really what the world does, you're never alone with God. You're never alone. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in the Father. That's my belief. I'm not pushing it on anybody. But I am telling you that that's my story. Look for the upcoming videos. They're going to be different. Stay blessed, everybody. Ooh, man, these the incisions still sore. Love you guys.